Welcome to the next page. We are here at ordering and comparing real number examples. Okay, we're ordering and comparing real number examples. Now, I want to put these numbers 5/8, 9/16, and 5/12 in order, or in ascending order, which means I want to go from least to greatest. Make sure every time you see the word ascending or descending that you're writing down what it means. But here I want to go from least to greatest. Now, these are all fractions. These are not perfect fractions like 1/2, and I know that's 0.5, things like that. Our first step is to get these numbers into the same form, which means I want everything to be a decimal. But what if I don't know how to do that? Let's do a quick fraction to decimal review. I'm gonna write it on the side. Fraction to decimal review. We're gonna take a little time to do that here in our ordering and comparing real number examples. Now, there is a strategy called NITO or TIBO, which means numerator in, denominator out, or top in, bottom out. And what that simply means is I'm going to put the top number on the inside of the house and the bottom number on the outside. The numerator goes in, the denominator goes out. Okay? Now, in doing this, we need to divide to turn these numbers into decimals. So I'm going to ask myself, how many times can 8 go into 5? It can't. 0. Because it cannot go into 5. Add a decimal under the house, a decimal straight up top, and a 0 behind that decimal under the house before you continue dividing. Now I'm going to ask myself, how many times can 8 go into 50? Well, that's 6 times, because 6 times 8 is 48. When I subtract, I get 2. As an 8th grader, we do not leave things as a remainder. We're going to keep dividing until we can't anymore. Okay? How many times can 8 go into 20? Because it can't go into 2, you add a 0, bring it down. 8 can go into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. I still have a little bit to go. Add a 0. Bring it down. How many times can 8 go into 40? 8 can go into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. When I subtract, I get 0. Done with that problem. 5/8 is equivalent to 0 and 625 thousandths. Okay? Let's do the next one. 9/16. Top in, bottom out, numerator in, denominator out. 9/16. How many times can 16 go into 9? Newsflash, it can't. Put a 0 on top. Add your decimal on top and in the house. Put a 0 in the house. Continue dividing. How many times can 16 go into 90? 5 times. If you did not know that, we have a multiplication chart that should also be in our journals. If you do not have one in your journal, you can reference the one that is in the My Interactive Notebook tab. 16 can go into 95 times, because 90 times 16, or 5 times 16, sorry, I misspoke, is 80. 90 minus 80 is 10. 16 cannot go into 10, so we add a 0. Bring it down. 16 can go into 100 6 times, because 6 times 16 is 96. When I subtract, I get 4. 16 cannot go into 4. Add a 0. Bring it down. 16 can go into 40 2 times, because 2 times 16 is 32. 40 minus 32 is 8. 16 cannot go into 8, so we add another 0. Bring it down. 16 can go into 80 5 times, because 5 times 16 is 80. 80 minus 80 is 0. We're done dividing. And 9/16 is equivalent to 500 or 5,625 10,000s. Okay. Last one, let's do 5/12. Top in, bottom out, numerator in, denominator out. Okay. 12 cannot go into 5. We're going to put a 0, decimals in both spots. Put a 0 behind the decimal that's inside the house and divide. 12 can go into 50 4 times because 4 times 12 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Add a 0, bring it down because 12 cannot go into 2, but it can go into 20 one time because 1 times 12 is 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. Add a 0 because 12 cannot go into 8. Make sure you bring it down. 12 can go into 80 6 times because 6 times 12 is 72. 80 minus 72 is 8. Wait a minute, Miss Maxon. I see a pattern. Yes, there's an 8 right there. Here's an 8 right here. If you see that it is going to repeat or that you're going to keep going and going and going with that 6, make sure you do it one more time just to make sure you know that this number or that 6 repeats. So we're going to add another 0 to see what happens. Even though we know, we're still going to do it. Add another 0 to see what happens. 12 can go into 80 6 times. 6 times 12 is 72. Sorry, I miswrote. 72. 80 minus 72 is 8. It's going to keep going. I'm going to put a repeating symbol, which is just a straight line on top of those two 6s. So 5/12 is equal to 4,166 10,000ths repeating. Okay? Now, I've done the first step when it comes to ordering and comparing real numbers. I've turned all the numbers into decimals. So my second step for this right here was our review for fractions to decimals. All of that was our fractions to decimal review. Now we're back to ordering and comparing real numbers. Okay, we're back to ordering and comparing. I had 0 and 625 thousandths, 0 and 5,625 10,000ths, 0 and 4,166 10,000ths repeating. I want to order these numbers from least to greatest. Ascending order, least to greatest. So the smallest number, I can't look at the zeros. That won't tell me anything. The smallest number here will be the third one, the 0 and 4,166 10,000ths repeating. But it did not start off as that number. It started off as 5/12. So that's what I'm going to write. Done with that number. The next biggest number is 5,625 10,000ths. It's the second number, but it did not start off as that. It started off as 9/16. So that's what we're going to write when we're ordering. And the last number, 625 thousandths, started off as 5/8. We've ordered our numbers. That's our answer. We're done with that one. And we're going to the next problem, okay? Now, with this problem, we still need to change these numbers into decimal form. That is step 1. 34 is a whole number. So it's technically already in decimal form. We have nothing to do with that number. The square root of 36 is 6. We're done transforming that number. What we need to worry about is this negative 1 3/100 times 10 to the third power. Okay? So, rewrite everything that's in front of the multiplication sign. We're going to move our decimal to the right since that exponent is positive. 3 times since our exponent is a 3. 1, 2, 3. Add a 0. And we get negative 1,030. Now we're going to order them in descending order. Descending means from greatest to least. So we need to go from the biggest number to the smallest number as we order. We have negative 1,030. We have 34. And we have 6. Make sure you line up the place values correctly. Now, greatest to least. Which one is the biggest number? If you don't pay attention to your negative sign, you would probably tell me the first one. But since that's a negative number, it's not bigger than these two positive numbers right here. So the biggest number that we have is 34. The biggest number that we have is 34. The next number will be 6. But it didn't start out as 6. It started out as the square root of 36. So that's what we're going to write. And the last number, negative 1,030, is what we're going to write last. But it didn't start out as that. It started out as 1 300 times 10 to the third power. That's us ordering these numbers from greatest to least. That's our answer. We are finished ordering and comparing real numbers, and we are finished with Unit 1. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me or inbox me on Canvas. Have a good one.